Compare yourself to who you were yesterday, not to who someone else is today. Because you need to have a hierarchy of improvement. You need to be aiming for something. So the question is, who should you defeat in the final analysis? And the answer is, you should defeat your former self. You should be constantly trying to do that. And you're the right control for yourself too, because you're the one who's had all your advantages and disadvantages. And so if you want to compete fairly with someone, then you should be competing with you. And it is the case, and this is what we were talking about too with regards to the self-improvement of the fighter, is, well, if you're improving yourself, then what you are doing is competing with your lesser self. And then you might also ask, well, what is that lesser self? And that lesser self would be resentful and bitter, vengeance-seeking, and all of those things that go along with having a negative moral character. And those are things that interfere with your ability to progress as you move forward through life.
You live according to the principles of love, compassion, appreciative joy, celebrating other people's successes, but how do you overcome hatred and confusion and just having a good heart? Then I think that's what happened to me. Then I start to get clear about what I like to do and how I could be of service. How can I help other people? That we were wired for success, but it's how we relate to our experience that determines whether we're chipping away or we're, kind of burying that sense of wholeness. We become what we think about. Focus on what you want rather than focusing on what you don't want. Who do you want to be? Why are you here on this planet?
It's gazing into the abyss that makes you better. The thing is, and this is maybe where Nietzsche's idea is not as differentiated as it became. Sometimes your gaze can be forcefully directed towards the abyss, and then you're traumatized. If it's involuntary and accidental, it can kill you. The more it's voluntary, the more transformative it is. And that's part of that idea about facing death and hell. It's like, can you tolerate death and hell? And the answer is, this terrible answer is, yes, to the degree that you're willing to do it.
What you become is much more valuable than what you get. The major question to ask on the job is not what am I getting here. The major question to ask on the job is what am I becoming here? Not what am I getting, what am I becoming? So it's very important what you become. Because what you become attracts. If you become cynical, you attract cynicism. So this whole subject of personal development is so vitally important to me. It changed my life. I was a millionaire by age 30. And that was just the economic part of it. It took me 6 years from age 25 to age 30. It was unbelievable. Remember, be a student, not a follower. And here's what you must always do. Design your own personal life.
And so unless we're still and we think about it and we understand that I was born with this masterpiece and no one can give it to me or take it away, it's an inside job. And so if I look at what's right, it makes a lot of sense. So it's whether you're coming from a place of scarcity or I would say survival mode, or coming from growth mode, which has to do with yes I can, yes to life, and I have the capacity and the responsibility to make it different or to make it better.
You know how many times I gotta laugh at shit that ain't funny? You know how many times I gotta go to dinners and events and places and be around people that I don't fuck with at all? But guess what? If it's a game of survival, we gonna get from where we are to where we trying to be. Your pride and your ego is out of fucking control. Your pride and your ego has been killing your career growth. Your pride and your ego and your attitude has compromised the altitude of your career. You know better, but you're deciding to not do better.
Every person on this planet is capable of changing the world by changing themselves.
I was not going to let myself fail, right? And I have that mentality. And I understand that now that I grew from that concrete, I'm starting to plant my seeds, and there's more roses growing. We're planting seeds in places that people are like, man, it'll never grow here, right? And we're like, no, it can't. You know, because there's a lot of people out there that have the heart that have the talent, that have the ability. They just have to see that someone else can do it. At the end of the day, man, you really gotta want it. You gotta really want it. Like, man, you don't see the work that goes behind this. People don't see all that it takes to even get to that point, and that's the problem. And
Continuing to do something until you can do it is most of the work. Is just continuing to make mistakes, learn from mistakes, but the mistakes are viewed as feedback, not as I'm a failure. It's just an event, not who we are. So that error correction is really important. And when you can see it, when you attribute it to something you can learn or change, now you got faith and confidence to do it, versus if you're seeing it like, oh, I'm just not strong enough, I'm not tall enough, and all of that. That's what I call the negative community telling you can't do anything, rather than saying, well, let me see what I can do. So it's like a child learning how to walk, right? Same thing.
When you do these difficult things, you're stressing your mind, or I should say, not even stressing your mind, exercising your mind and exercising your body's ability to manage intense situations. It's hard. It's very difficult. It's very testing. And in doing so, you lessen the stress of regular life. The more stressful situations that I experience, the more I understand what they are and the more I can relax.
Here's the big challenge of life. You can have more than you've got because you can become more than you are. And of course, the other side of the coin reads, unless you change how you are, you'll always have what you got. So the whole key to unlock all the treasures, whether it's economic treasures or spiritual treasures, financial, social, personal, every way you can possibly think of, is by your own personal development.
It takes courage to stand up and break down the aspects of your life that you know is holding you back. Let your progress be idolized. Let it speak for itself. This is your journey. This is your destiny. And either you wander aimlessly or you grab the wheel and take control of the ship. Either you head in the direction you want to go or you go in no direction at all. Most people allow life to happen to them. Their time runs like a sand cycle. Life is happening to them. It isn't happening for them. Make life work for you. Make your time work for you. Do not allow your time to empty each day without achieving anything.
You're going to get out of your life what you'll accept. That's really difficult for people, I think, to understand is, look, what you think you're worth and what you're going to tolerate is absolutely what you're going to bring into your life and what the outward part of your life is going to look like. And so I live by that. Like, I let myself sort of feel the pain and the difficulty of being not where I want to be in whatever that area is, whether it's my spirituality, my relationships, my money. I let myself feel that pain because, as you know, there's two motivators, right? There's the gaining of pleasure, right? Wanting to go get something, chasing the dream. But then there's the avoidance of pain. And for a lot of champions, that's a pretty big driving force for them. And so at least for me, I leverage both of those things on me to get myself to take action.
When you're inspired by something or someone in your life, you feel the magic. Now's the time to be the magic. What are you going to do? Are you going to let the masters inspire you to feel it? Or are you going to strive to be a master? It's your choice. The magic is waiting, not only for you just to feel it, but to be it. Nobody can take this away.